Hey friends, I never go live on a Monday night, but here I am because this required it, gang. Welcome to John's Comics with Friends, sometimes kids. This is the rare Monday night edition of Where Are the Comics? This is the comic community interview show that I've been doing. That's kind of a fun way to get to know people in the community that I've never met before, or in the case of tonight's guest, spend a little time getting to know them even better. I wanted to do one thing here at the beginning. I know there's only 3 folks here, but for anybody catching the replay, watching this later on, I want to hype up Comics Curing Cancer. This is the time right now to donate comics from your collection that you want to see be used to help in the fight against cancer. The link to the Instagram for Comics Curing Cancer is right here pinned at the top of the chat. So if you have Instagram and you want to follow them, that's great. But also if you have books you want to donate, you can let them know that you have things and submit stuff. You know, there anything that will help raise money for Comics Curing Cancer, they will take it. They will help turn that into money to fight this awful illness. I'm going to show real quickly something that I am donating. As always, I will do a Saturday morning show. That'll be the 25th of October, and I'm going to be giving away a Marvel Fanfare set here. So here's issue 2. Here's issue 3, 4. I tried to get as nice a quality copies as I could. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I jump around a little bit at this point. I got 14, I got 20, I got 23, I got, what is that, 33, a little Magneto put your pants on cover there. I got 36, I got 37, I got 41, and you're like, John, that's pretty nice, but you kind of skipped 1. Yeah, I got a 9/8 slab I'm going to be throwing in with all that other stuff. You can get all of that as one prize on my Saturday morning show on the 25th. The way I will do it on my channel is every donation of $25 will get you 1 ticket on the wheel. I usually do 25. I might do 20 this year. And then I will just keep adding names all through the show. And every once in a while, I'll spin the wheel. I've got 3 slabs I'm giving away. I got this set. I got a Thor by Jason Aaron set with a slab. I got a Batman slab and set. So I will have at least 3 slabbed prizes that I'll be giving away for every $20 to $25 that you donate during my live stream. So be there for that. But then, of course, click that link at the top. Go and follow them on Instagram. And if you have books to donate, please do so. All right, that's it. That's the end of the hype machine there. Let's get to tonight's discussion. So here's how it works, gang. If this is the first time watching one of these, I've got a playlist going, and you can check out the previous interviews later on. But the fun of this has been connecting with friends in this community that I don't spend enough time with. And that is so true of our guest tonight. Like right at the top of my list of people that I wanted to hang out with and talk to. I love his live streams. He is somebody that when I think about, the Mount Rushmore of this comic community, this gentleman is up there. You can shake your head all you want, sir. I admire people who make me feel like I want to do better in this community. And that is absolutely true of this person. And they bring a sense of connection, positivity, enthusiasm, and knowledge to their shows about this silly little hobby that we've got. And when I tune in, I feel better informed. I find a lot of fun and joy, and I'm always engaged in a fun, joyous conversation in the chat. I am talking about the one, the only Mr. MetaRog.
Oh, thank you, John. I mean, wow. I mean, I'm over here at the point of fainting over here. the praise that I got from you, but
it's so true, man. I mean, I every time I've been able to catch one of your streams and I jump in, I feel this sense of enthusiasm for this is what I want to get from my comic experience,
Right. Well, I think that, the fact that we're here on YouTube talking about comics and we're at this age, right, means that we're passionate about it, right?
It didn't go away.
Right. It didn't go away, right? I mean, we're here because, and it's something for me.
Oh, did I lose Roger or did I freeze up? Oh, did I lose you or me? One of us. I lost one of us. I don't know if it was you or if it was me.
There, we're back. We're back.
You're back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a rural area here, so sometimes the internet, okay, it's a little flaky. So, but yeah, thank you for those kind words. I love to be with you. I mean, I remember your Saturday show with the kids, and those were always just great vids. Again, you're passing on the torch to the younger generation. That's something to be admired.
100%, absolutely. Well, the link for Roger is Instagram and his YouTube channel. It's all down below, so you can follow as well. You can do that while I'm saying hi to the chat. So go ahead and go do that right now. To be tailgating right at the beginning, we got our man, the old wolf. What is going on, Tony? Good to see you, friend. We got Ruben Guzman. Ruben gave me a bunch of those Marvel fanfares that I'm giving away. So I went and got 1, 2, 3 and a few others, but most of these are from Ruben's collection. So thank you, Ruben, for contributing as well.
Good job, Ruben.
We got Bridazzle. What is going on, Bridazzle?
Hey, Brianna, how you doing?
And we've got Magic Lasso saying, this is a stream I'm very much looking forward to.
Hey,
Two
Ryan.
distinguished
one of my
gentlemen.
favorite guys ever right there. Yeah.
A top tier friend. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What the hecklers? What's up, Rob Boswell?
Hey,
Good to see you. Good to see you, Rob. Yes, this is a Monday night variant, indeed. Oh, he's at Bourbon World. I am absolutely wearing pants. I mean shorts, because it's hot here. It's been hot today.
Yeah, likewise.
It is a beautiful 9.8, and I hunted that down and got a good deal on it, knowing that it would complete this little run and that somebody would be absolutely loving it. What's going on, Triple C? Good to see you. Let's see. Oh, snap. Metropolitan is the man.
Oh, Rob.
Damien. What's going on, Sleepy Reader?
Hey, Damien. You're going to be mentioned later.
Oh, trouble. Ryan never replies. Ryan's always there. He's always listening. Something about torching the younger generation. What's up,
Passing
Adam?
The torch, not torching. Hey, Adam. I don't think I know Adam. Nice to meet you.
He's a local neighbor here, a little to the north of me.
Okay.
But yeah, very funny guy. What's going on, Adam?
Obviously.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get started by learning a little bit about the little MetaRog. What were you like? What was going on in your life around the time you discovered comics, and what was that early comic exposure like for you? Let's go back in time.
Let's go back in time. Let's go back to 1973, John, where I was, a somewhat troubled young man, emotionally. My parents, as many know, were Cuban refugees. They fled Castro's Cuba. Their land was taken from them.
Oh, wow.
And they were not allowed to leave the country because they were professionals. So they had to do so under false pretenses.
Oh, wow.
And around 73, I was about 8 or so. And I had some emotional issues. I just kept thinking that I didn't fit in,
Sure.
I was sort of I was born here, but my first language was Spanish, right? So I saw these people speaking this other language, and then I saw on TV mostly like through Electric Company and Sesame Street, and I started to learn through there, right? And I started to fit in a little bit better, yeah. But my brother was actually a comic collector.
Was this an older or a younger brother?
Young, older brother. Yes, he was 9. He's 9 years older than I am, and he actually had from what he tells me, a very complete through the 50s or 60s ASM.
Oh, wow!
Including ASM 1. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He didn't have an Amazing Fantasy. Apparently, that was not a thing where he lived, right?
Right. But so 9 years older than you, he would have been a teenager when you moved, then, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Wow, that would have been really hard.
Yeah. So to me, I was in that land of confusion, depression. Back then, you didn't really like go to a doctor for that.
No,
you got a spanking and you said live with it, handle it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Neanderthal method of handling depression back then, right? But my brother, as I was saying, he had comics, and even though I couldn't read English that well, I saw a few. We shared a bedroom, and he had this drawer, chest of drawers. And that bottom one, he was like, don't go into that bottom chest of drawers. So,
Usually when your
of
brother
course,
tells you that, you gotta listen.
you might as well have just, put a sign on there, open me, So I did, and I would take out his comics. And amongst them were Metal Men.
Ooh, let me do this here.
He was a big fan of this title, Metal Men. And I started looking through it and I was like, the colors and the action and the diverse characters, they just spoke to me. Again, even though my English was, certainly not at the level of, reading the whole comic, right? But I certainly got the gist of it, right? And these characters were just amazing to me. And I mean, they all have different properties and different personalities. And as I was in that emotional situation, I really could relate to Tin, because he was stuttering and he's unsure of himself and just lacks self-esteem. All those problems that I was going through, but yet he often came out as the hero. If you read the stories,
so if you have that inside of you, like he could have it inside of him.
Yeah. So maybe I wasn't defective. Maybe I was just not focusing in my problems in the right way. So, comics in that sense sort of opened up the possibilities that, hey, maybe there are other people that have issues like I do. I'm not an alien here. I just have to be able to focus on other things. And that started my love of comics right there. And then when I went to in elementary school, back then, John, people were taking comics to school and we were reading them before and after, not during, because they'd be taken away.
You could take them away, yeah.
Yeah, but before and after. And we would trade comics and we would do a little gambling of comics, and so that's how I started to read, more diverse, besides Harvey's and DC's and Marvel's, and including Charlton's and Dell's and Gold Keys, things like that. And again, it just fascinated me because there are so many different genres and so many different characters. That was in this other fantasy land that really took me away from my problems and showed me that there are other worlds to focus on, and that really helped me during that time.
Yeah. Do you think I've noticed with young readers too that when they're struggling, pictures make a huge difference, and then you are using those context clues with the text to kind of like gain under. Was that helpful in your like young English reading skills?
Absolutely was. And the fact of the matter is I wanted to find out what was going on in those comics. So I would get a dictionary.
You have that motivation.
Dictionary, and start to translate things. And believe it or not, that helped both languages.
Of course, 100%.
Yeah,
it would have to.
So now I can communicate with my family and with the people across the street.
Sure.
So it really opened up another avenue for me for communication, and and I would go over there and they'd say, "Oh, what a cute guy! Here, come, get some more comics, get some toys." So
was there a shop nearby where you could go to get new stuff, or was it always through brother that you were getting your books?
Well, there was a drugstore down the street. We lived in Little Havana, Miami, during this time, and there was a drugstore down the street. They had a spinner rack.
Nice,
right? But but by the time I usually got there was like maybe 5 or 6 comics on there. There was like the little Dot was left there, maybe a Sergeant Rock was left there. But every once in a while I'd get there and there would be the full array of comics, and of course I would.
That's a good day.
A buck off my uncle, my grandfather, and then I'd be like,
get all of them.
Yeah.
How long do you think it took before your collection paced your brother's? How long what was that curve like?
It probably only took about a year or two, because as he was getting older, he was dropping off. He was now into girls, those things,
Yeah.
And he was like, this was like the era where we had to get the silk shirt. So he was working, and started driving, yeah. So those things were, so I inherited a few of his comics, but the majority of his comics were, given to friends or whatever, because he thought I was too young for them. Yeah.
Sure. We got some friends jumping in the chat here. Naman is trying to figure out who this guest I got on tonight is.
Yeah, he sounds familiar to me. Yeah,
He's a forgetful guy. That
I think I
Naman.
roomed with him last year somewhere.
And we got Steve, and I hope Spock is bouncing around somewhere as well. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Steve.
And Big O, my friend Paul is in the chat. What's going on,
Hey,
Paul? He's a Florida Gulf Coast guy.
Yep, he's a cover slinger with me on Gray Man on Saturdays. Yeah.
He looks familiar. Looks like a guy who cleaned and pressed my book.
That might have been me. Yeah, that might have been me.
So this next question I ask is usually it's because of my profession. I tend to always ask a question about mentors and teachers, people who had an impact, right, on you at a pivotal time that maybe saw something in you that maybe you didn't understand or see at the time, had faith in you or belief in you, and then inversely, maybe a comic that represents that person or represents in general mentoring or teaching for you. Who was that person if you had one?
Yeah, I mean, in I believe it was in junior high. They called it back there, John, not middle school.
I called it the same. Yeah,
right. Back then there was a bit of a stigma if you were a comic book collector, right? It was not cool. Frowned upon by most adults and most women or girls as well, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of tried to keep it on the down low, if that makes sense, right?
Oh yes, no, I had the same experience.
Right, but I had a history teacher, and I believe his name was Mr. Lyle, and I don't remember if that was his first name or his last name now, but
okay,
it was obviously one or the other. And he asked for us to do a project that showed a progression, a chronological progression of publications.
Okay.
Right. So some people brought in magazines and newspapers and digests and TV guides, things like that. Of course, what do you think I brought? Comic books. Right. So I happened to have a 10 center from the 50s that came in one of those weird trades at school or something. I don't remember how I got it. It was a Tales to Astonish, I think, with the gorilla on the guy. And I got one, and I saw the first few were like more gaps, like 2, 3, 4 year gaps.
Okay.
But from 1970 through, I guess this would be about 1977 or so.
Okay.
Those were complete. As far as I had a representation of all this.
Yeah.
Right. And multiples. So I went there and I did my presentation, and I talked about a litany of different characters, but one I remember specifically bringing is Commandy.
Oh, sure.
Right? Because if we're talking about timelines, I figured this would be a perfect kind of encapsulation of that, because we're talking about a future, dystopian future.
Dangerous, yeah.
That could occur, right? Even though we weren't sure what Kirby was talking about when he said disaster or whatever. I think it was
he was a little elusive on that.
Or man-made or whatever. Right. And when I made my presentation, I wasn't sure how I was going to be received by the teacher, but he was very effusive in his praise, and he said, "Guess what? I'm a comic collector too." I didn't know that, because once again, there was that's something you didn't advertise.
You didn't freely mention it, right? Yeah.
But later on, he took me aside and he's like, "I love Commandy, and Kirby and all this stuff." So I got an A on that project, and believe it or not, that teacher and that project sort of gave me a little more emphasis to dig into the comics, other genres and other eras and things like that. Because even as I was doing that project, I was like, you know what? Every era has its own little, charm, and I should explore them. So I was fairly poor. I was still mowing lawns and picking up bottles and things like that.
Yeah,
to get comics. But whenever I had the chance to trade for an older comic at school, I certainly did, because of that project.
That's cool, man. That's nice that they were reinforcing that for you. Were there, I mean, obviously Kirby would have been at that time. Were there were you focusing on characters at that time, the books you were collecting, or were you focusing on like runs and stories, or was it like artists, or what was your focus at
I
that age?
wasn't really too focused on artists because again, it was tough to back then there wasn't a lot of information that I could obtain,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't have comic readers and I didn't have
Right.
Rocket Blast comic collectors, things like that, that had those kind of information, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to focus. Well, when I say focus, listen, sometimes you just got what was on the rack, I mean, listen, if I had to badger and harangue my brother to death to get him to take me to the 7-Eleven, the Circle K, or whatever to get.
Yep.
And like every once in a while, I'd go to 7-Eleven and I'd have maybe $4 or $5, right? I was like, all right. But they'd only have, about $2 worth of new comics.
Right. Right.
Hey, can we go to the Circle K? He was like, okay, that's enough. Get a
Yeah.
Slurpee.
How many stops are we making here, buddy?
Yeah, right. So generally, but I did try. I did have certain characters that if money was a situation, those would be the emphasis, right? And that would be Avengers, Fantastic Four, Justice League, Legion of Superheroes, and E-Man for Charlton.
So it seems like then you were under the same thinking that I was, which was like, if I get this team book, I get a lot of characters versus if I just get Spider-Man, I guess I just get Spider-Man.
More bang for your buck. Plus Spider-Man was always gone on those tracks.
Yeah, first to go, right? Spider-Man and Batman.
Yep.
We got some other friends jumping in the chat. We got Brucifer. What's going on, Bruce?
Hey, Bruce,
I was hanging out with him the other night. Good to see you, my friend. Naman still holding down court in the chat. I appreciate you, Naman. We got Christina Payne, and she dropped Roger's link. So if you don't follow MetaRog, you should click the link, get on over there, add that to your watch list for sure.
Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate it. What a great supporter of
oh my gosh. She's an absolute queen. And we got Cliff on comics, my homie. What is going on, Cliff? Good to see you, my friend.
That's Rob.
Yeah. Rob always trolling us. I appreciate it, buddy.
Rob was on he was a fixture on the No Faces chat, so don't even go there, Rob.
Oh man, I remember those days. Those were great. Those were a lot of fun. The No Faces. So mentioning creators, I know that now that we have money to spend and what we end up going to conventions and things like that, we get to meet some of these writers and artists that shaped us a little bit. And that can be great, and that can be not so great. Right. Did you ever have an experience with a writer or a creator that was something kind of special? And is there any book that is connected to that person for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, back in the 80s, John, I went to a convention in Broward County, which is the county north of Dade, where I lived, down in South Florida. And back then I really wasn't focused on creators or anything like that. I was there.
Sure.
I was just starting to drive. Probably this is 81 or so. And I was like, man, I'm going there, and I was working at my dad's restaurant. I had cash. I didn't have any problems. I was like just finishing up high school. I was like, yeah. So I'm over there and I'm going through these cheap bins. Back then it was like 10-cent, 25-cent bins,
Sure. Yeah.
So I pulled out of there like a huge amount of Amazing Adventures. I remember there was a bunch of Marvel team ups, like the ones before I started collecting.
Sure.
I'm just like, I'm in my element, I'm just like, I got stacks like this, and I see this guy sitting at this table right in the middle. And I was like, man, he looks familiar to me, and I'm like, hold on a second. And I look at my Marvel comic, and in the back is an ad with Stan Lee, and he's looking in a mirror, and he's like a record album thing. I'm like, that's Stan Lee, So so I'm like, yeah, let's and like this is back then. He had no handler. It was just him,
Nobody could handle him.
No, it was just him, and he was there just shaking people's hands and signing autographs, things like that, right? So I'm like, well, let me go over there. I mean, remember, I'm not really like sure what to do here, right? So I got this huge stack of comics, I'm like moving these things around. I have it's not a briefcase, but it's like that kind of leatherette case, right? To put those in there. And so I go over there and I said, yeah, Mr. Leith, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm obviously a big fan of your work and Marvel Comics and so forth. And he was, oh, that's very nice of you. I'm literally shaking like a leaf here. I mean, literally sweat droplets coming down. I'm like, so I pull a comic out of the bag, and he's like, oh no, he asked me, I'm sorry, he asked me, is there something you want me to sign for you? So I'm like, it didn't register at that time. So I pulled the comic out of the bag, and I don't know if I looked at it or I just put it in front of him, and he's like looking at me and looking at the comic. I'm like, I don't think I worked on this comic. And when I look down, it's a Legion of Superheroes comic. Man, there was not a hole deep enough for me to fall into.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So come on, so cute. A 15, 16-year-old kid comes up. That's got to be adorable.
But he was so nice about it, and he was like, hold on, find another one. And
let me see what you got. Let me go through
what I got in there. I found Amazing Adventures. I don't remember what comic it was, John. I mean, at this point, I'm just totally, frazzled, right? And he signs and he's like, shakes my hand. He's like, thank you so much for your patronage and for, loving Marvel Comics. Excelsior. I forgot what he said, honestly, something to that.
That's fantastic.
But I remember one of the comics back that I picked up that day. He didn't sign this one. In fact, I cannot find that signed comic, but I remember I picked this one up that day as well.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hero for Hire #2. Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's a great cover.
Because I was a big fan of Luke Cage. Just because he was just such a, he's like an everyday here. Yeah, he was like, I got office front,
street level for sure.
Yeah,
top to bottom.
He had to pay his rent. He had to worry about guys like the coffee machine working. I mean, look, it's fabulous stuff.
Yeah, real life problems.
Real life stuff problems. Yeah, but but that's my story with Stan Lee, and
that's fantastic. So jealous. Oh, he's one of those creators I never got a chance to meet, and I was always regretting that the opportunity never arose. But by the time I had convention level money, like he was more expensive than the con that I was going to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, that's rough.
I'm glad I got to meet him before. Like I said, I didn't even know he was there. I mean,
I know. Wow.
So it was just a happenstance meeting, but
that's fantastic.
Let me tell you, considering he could tell that I was like really nervous and everything, and he did everything he could to placate me and
settle you down a little bit.
Yeah, because otherwise it could have gone real bad.
He seemed like he was always really good about handling young people and comics, and that seemed to always work. We got Super Russ 9000 in the chat.
Russ!
What's going on, Russ?
I'm going to mention you later too if we get to that question.
Good to see you, my friend. Oh, there we go. We got David Reese in the chat. What's going on, David?
Hey, David.
Good to see you, sir. Obviously I kicked off the show tonight talking about charity, but I like to learn a little bit about those charities that might mean something to you, things that are important. We all, I feel like, work hard for our money, but when it comes time to be able to support a cause that has some meaningful connection, where do you choose to put those extra dollars when you can?
Right. Well, there are various ways that I things I do for charities. My wife is a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor. So I've been involved with Little Pink Houses of Hope, which is a project where when people are going through cancer therapies, they're given essentially a week in a different places, but in our case, it was a beach resort.
Oh, nice.
And they take care of everything. They take care of the food, the entertainment. They book, like canoe tours and speakers, things like that. And of course, different the venue itself has, you know, like pools and parties, things like that, you know. And it at least, and it's the whole family. It takes the whole family.
Wow.
So if you're 2 or if you're 20, and you know how many kids you ever
They'll
had,
make it
right?
work.
They'll take you. And
Wow.
and it really it's just a week so that they don't have to worry about anything. You know, it's just
Sure.
to take your mind off of the horrible disease that is.
Right.
And since we went through that, I find I try to do yearly donations to them.
That's fantastic.
Because I just, when we went through there, it really helped my wife quite a bit, and
I'm
my daughter,
sure.
myself too. But you know, I'm thinking about them more than anything.
So what was it called? Little Pink Houses of
Of
Hope?
hope, yes.
That's fantastic. And
And
people could, if they searched online, would they be able to find that?
oh
Okay.
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And there, in fact, there I won several contests years back, and one of them options was, hey, we can donate your prize to a different charity. And I think 2 or 3 times I've had them donate to Little Pink Houses of Hope.
That's fantastic.
I also, yeah.
Is there a comic that you feel like connects to that charity for you in some way? I know that that's kind of an odd ask.
That is kind of an odd, but there's another charity.
Sure.
That this is the one I picked for that one. There's another charity. I'm also involved in, you know, missionary work for
Yes.
feeding populations that, you know, have a lot food insecurities and are in food deserts, things like that. And that is very rewarding because, you know, you and I, we don't have to worry about where, I mean, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about where my next meal comes from, but, you know, and these are people that, you know, that have done everything right, but, you know, they've just been born into the situation that they can't get out of. So I try to, I did a lot of that when I lived in Miami. Here, it's a little bit more sporadic, you know.
Okay.
Because of here, what it is mostly is that they have food pantries and people come and grab the food there.
We have similar kind of things here in my area. Yeah.
So I donate to those pantries,
Sure.
you know, whatever I can. But I wanted to show Archie's Clean Slate. This is a Spire Christian comic, and it just shows, you know, all the different issues that could come up with people, and
Sure.
you know how faith can go a long way into helping others to find, you know, their terrestrial needs are necessary as well,
For
you know,
sure.
besides their spiritual ones.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care of those, then it's going to be hard for people to sort of listen to the spiritual needs, right?
For sure.
So this is a series that I've been
love
collecting for many years, as a
Sure.
kid. And you know, it's just full of positive, fun, and helpful, I believe, attitudes that you have toward people. You know, everybody, God loves everybody, but we have to be the ones that are the vector for that. You
For
know?
sure.
So I picked that one for that.
No, that's great. I love a good Archie share. I mean, that's Charlie. That was her through and through.
And
my
that's Al
youngest.
Hartley, which is a Archie artist. He did the most of the Spire ones as well.
We had some other friends crash in here, like Kenneth Bird. What's going on, Kenneth?
Hey, Kenneth.
Good to see you, friend.
Yes, they are Christian-based comics. Yes, they are.
What's up, Warlord? Good to see you.
But everybody can get something out of it, regardless. Yeah.
And who else did I miss? Jeff, the Cantonese comic kid, another Florida homie. What's going on, Jeff?
Yep, we've met several times.
I've had that pleasure myself. Yes.
Uh-huh.
He saved me at MegaCon Orlando because I needed a store folio desperately, and he's like, he knew the one booth in all of the con that had him, and he like walked me all the way over to get it.
Cool. So, yeah, Jeff is a cool dude. Yeah, he really is.
He's a really cool guy. Yeah. Let's see. What was my next one? Obviously we connect to story in a lot of different ways. And I'm a big fan of movies and music and novels beyond graphic sorts. What about yourself? Are you a fan of any other sorts of media? Are there favorites of yours that are like the go-to that you go back to often? I know my wife, it's music. She's got the records and she'll she'll put on the records anytime she's in either the good mood or the bad mood. The
Right.
music is the
The
speaking
music
for
sort
her
of shadows, the moods. Yeah. Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. I have the same thing. I have those playlists where, depending on what I need, it
Yeah.
helps out. But
Yeah.
I'm not like a music aficionado. I mean, I just, like these guys
I
like Mastodon and Hialeah, those
she's the
guys are
music
another level.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the one
I'm
that was like, oh, she used to go to concerts and stuff. And I was like, I
mhm.
never really
Nah, me
found
either.
that vibe
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But what
But
about, so then where did you go for your
so
media?
like what one of my loves is science fiction
Ooh,
novels, and this is more of a
oh,
gothic horror, of course, but
I
it
love
has
this
science
book.
fiction elements, right? And to me, and I think you probably agree with this, John, this is one of the seminal works
Oh,
when it comes to horror and science fiction. I mean, Mary Shelley, back in this is early 1800s here,
inc- so far ahead of her time.
very far ahead. I mean, but the story goes much more than the horror elements, of course. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
you're talking about somebody who like is obsessed with, creation and, sort of becoming, challenging God,
Yeah.
essentially.
The modern Prometheus,
Well,
right?
from Prometheus, right? Flames from the gods, right? And
Yes.
this one is cool because it has Bernie Wrightson illustrations. I have an older.
Oh,
Let me show you a couple of them. I have an older one that I read like in high school, and the cover's like coming off, but it has
oh, look at that.
illustrations by Wrightson, and has a
Wow.
forward by Stephen King.
Oh,
Look at
wow.
this. Look at this. Look at the monster of Frankenstein here. Look at that.
Oh, shredded. Look at him. He's doing the abs
Absolutely.
workout.
Yeah. So and Jules Verne is also I'm a big fan of his as well. So yeah, science fiction novels. I have also a lot of like classic illustrated, but I also like to read the novelization because you get the whole
Yeah.
shebang.
I'm so happy that I mean, Frankenstein, I think I read it at the right time as a young man, and it just had this profound, to your point, like I didn't, I didn't, I probably read it because I wanted it to be a horror because I was into horror and that, but I was so like, it was so sad. Like it was such like a tragic story that like the melancholy got me.
Yeah, it's
I,
melodrama at its best. It
oh
really is.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
nobody really comes out ahead here. I mean, but
No.
but the journey to get there was
Yeah.
just so beautifully written by Shelley here. I mean, I can't say enough about it. If you haven't read it, and it's let me tell you, it's an engrossing read. When you start, the
Yeah.
beginning may be a little bit, a little bit slow burn, but once you start getting into it and you start getting to the characters, you're going to be, if you're like probably like us, you're going to be wanting to finish this thing and fast because it
Yeah.
is engrossing.
And it's not terribly long.
No,
And
no.
obviously there have been several film adaptations to one degree or another of success. I was actually curious. I'm going to derail it. This is what this conversation, these shows are always like. I always derail us.
Right.
There was I got to watch it because for a short time there was a theater company that had put it online, but there in England, I think it was in England, they did this series of Frankenstein plays, and the actors who were playing the monster and the doctor would rotate every so often. So
Ooh,
it was Benedict Cumberbatch, so Doctor Strange,
wow.
and Johnny Lee Miller from Train Spotting, and
Mhm,
was it what was the Sherlock show he did? Elementary. He
mhm.
played Sherlock on Elementary, and they would rotate every so often. So then Benedict would become the Doctor, and then Johnny Lee Miller would be, and they both like I want to say they both shaved their heads so that they could like put these things on, and then they wore wigs as the Doctor.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It was and they put both versions on their the theater company's website for a time just so that you could watch and compare and people were coming back different nights to kind of see because they both played the monster and the doctor in very different ways, but
Right.
to see them play off each other is, but again, I think it highlighted the relationship, the connection that those
Yeah.
characters have spiritually, philosophically, and tragically,
And you have to ask yourself once you read that novel, who was the real monster there?
100%. I think that's the core of it is
Yeah.
is there blame and fault, and where can you place it? It's so easy to be, scared. The blind man parable section, where you see that a blind man doesn't need to judge him based on his appearance, but can judge him on his acts as the angel that's been chopping wood for them and doing all these things to help that family in need. He doesn't need to look at him, but of course, once the family sees the angel is really a monster to them, it's so powerful. Oh, I could
agree.
Wax 100%. Rhapsodic.
In fact, now that I'm talking about it, I think I'm gonna have to reread this again, because
it's a book
there are a few little blind spots in there that I have to fill in.
Well, I mean, there's certain ones that I revisit like that, and I revisit Christmas Carol. Dickens' Christmas Carol is a nice short little novella that you can read again and again, and has, of course, those quotable, the chains you wear, beware the chains you forge in life, those concepts of, what that impact has on you. And they both, I think, have thoughts about a man's place in a community, and then the value you can bring, or the harm that you can cause when you're focused on yourself and not on what you can bring to others.
Great.
Wow, great. Oh man, I could go all day.
Likewise.
What's up, Mark? Good to see
Mark.
you, friend. And Gordon, what's going on? Gordon, thank you for coming, man. Super Rush says Frankenstein book was the first book I read as a kid that wasn't a comic. Such a great story. Nailed it.
Absolutely.
John, would you have a Vampirella book club? I might have a couple. I don't think it'd be a very impressive book club.
Jeff, forget it. It's a Vampirella man. I mean,
he is the man. What's up, Apex? Good to see you, sir. Mike Plug's Chronicles of Santa Claus. I don't know that.
I gotta check that out. Yeah.
Yes, I might add that to my list, sir. Thank you for that.
Check that out. I'm a big Plug fan, so that's right up my alley.
Yeah, served on a platter there.
Yeah.
I think this next question tends to relate for me to the idea that we focus at least in American culture, heavily on results and not on work that it takes to achieve. And so I ask, like, what are some of your proudest achievements that in your life, and what was that struggle like to make those things a reality? And this can include, obviously, personal life and those kinds of things, but also I think it relates to our hobby in the sense of like that Grail comic that you might never have thought you could get, and you had to work hard to get it, and then it means all the more as a result, right?
Right. Well, as far as the comics go, I'm not that sort of collector that will go like a lot of people, go for these more expensive comics and Grails, things like that. I don't really see comics in that way, right? To me, if I have to spend that much money, that would cause me stress and would sort of be counterproductive to what the comics are supposed to be against, right?
Right.
So there was one comic that I paid $100 for in my life. That was the most expensive comic. And that was the last 30-cent variant that I needed for my 1976 Marvel test variant set.
Sure.
The rest I got, fairly cheap, because I got these in the early 2000s when
that was the time.
It was the internet was in its nascent stage, and there wasn't a lot of information about them, and I was on the forums and I was trading, junk for junk, right?
Sure.
So in that sense, I'm not going to touch that. There's another question here, which let me see. I don't know if we're going to get to it.
We're moving along pretty well here. I'm on question 10.
You're on question 10. Okay, right.
And we've got 4 more after that.
Oh yeah, I think 2. The one about the gaps are the one I have one there for. But like I said, I did some missionary work, and one of them, a friend of mine asked me to help with prison ministry.
Ooh, that's
and I was like, prisoners. I mean, and this is maximum security. I'm like,
oh wow.
Okay, so I had to go through all this training and
sure,
all the different legal and the I had to sign off, apparently everything. If anything happened to me, tough luck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're really taking my faith to another level here, but
also people that clearly are desperately in need.
And that's
Right.
what he told me, and that's what got me. He goes, "You
Mm.
wouldn't believe, because there's, you see these movies about prisoners and what happens, and the reality is so different, right?"
Oh yeah.
So for 10 years, I did this prison
Wow.
ministry, and
Oh
it's
wow.
yeah, we went once a month or once every 2 months, depending on because there's such rules in there, right?
Sure.
um, and we would go and we'd spend an morning and afternoon with them, and but every once a year we would have a big long weekend, and we would have a whole program. And about 5 years in, they asked me to lead one of them. Now, what this entails is for you to talk to the warden and the lieutenants and the captains and tell them what you're going to bring in, what you're going to talk about, um, and you coordinate this whole thing. And I was like super nervous about it, right? Because
Sure.
if anything goes wrong, it's on you,
Yeah.
right?
Pressure.
And you could get banned from the prison if anything does go wrong.
Yeah. Just
Um,
for like out of my curiosity, when you
yeah,
would go the once a month, I'm
yeah.
assuming this was some like Bible readings and some discussions around what were
It,
those sessions like the
it was
normal sessions?
right. It was although it was a Christian based organization, we really tried to be just to let them tell us what they were going through.
Sure.
um and sometimes, and once again, a lot of these are murderers and rapists, things like that, but so their families have totally disowned them.
Sure.
There was a man in there I talked to who's been in there 29 years. He's had 2 visits in those 29
Wow.
years. And yeah, they are paying for their crimes, okay? And
Sure.
we in no way do we discuss, that,
That.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
But what we're trying to do is that, hey, listen, yeah, you did this, you made a horrible choice at some point in your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right? I have too. Probably you have too, John. But it didn't elevate to that level, right?
Okay.
But when you talk to them, you can see that they're most of them are genuinely just incredibly sorry about those choices that they made.
Sure.
And sometimes their circumstances dictated it,
Mhm.
although it didn't justify it, but it dictated
Right.
it, right?
Right.
So we would go in there, and yeah, we would have a Bible reading, or we would have more than likely what we would have a Bible story, and we would talk about, hey, how can you relate to this story?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would bring out, sometimes the issues that they were going through.
Sure.
So but the over the long weekend, it was much more involved. We would bring in food, we would bring in speakers, things like that, So but so and every once in a while they would come up to you and say, the I literally just want to die,
Oh,
because I'm
wow.
never getting out of here,
Yeah.
so I just want to die. But now that we have a relationship, there's a reason for me to stay to live here, because
Wow.
we keep telling them, your body's in prison, but your spirit can still be free,
Sure.
right? So we try. I can't give them hope, only God can do that. But I'm just sort of like I'm the man in the gap there, right?
Yeah.
So that program went through, and a lot of a lot of what happened there was more my growth than anything else, believe it or not.
I mean,
Because
I would imagine that it would have that kind of an impact on you going through it as much as you would imagine or you'd hope that they could maybe take something valued from it.
yeah, that was my intention, right? That, hey, we're going there, and we're gonna. And honestly, I learned a lot more about myself than
Sure.
anything else. I mean, I didn't think I was capable of doing this.
Yeah.
Going through these hopes and the emotional turmoil that you have to essentially put up with
Yeah.
to get this done. Because again, you're in this room with about 50 prisoners, and there's 10 guys. There's no guards there. Okay, and these guys could take us, and we don't have a chance. Okay,
Right.
not a
Sure.
chance. I mean,
Sure.
what do they do all day? They work out,
Yeah.
they read,
Yeah.
so they could tear us limb for limb. But that wasn't the case. They want a relationship with somebody. They
I was
want
going
to
to say
have
they
that.
probably were desperate for that
Yeah,
community, that sense of value in some way.
correct.
Yeah.
So again, we don't in any way justify that they did horrible acts, and they have to pay for them. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. They know that.
Well, it's not
But
about, again, to your point, it's not about setting them free
no,
physically,
no.
right? Yeah.
But they're still human. Okay,
Yeah.
they're still human beings, and none of us are perfect in any way, shape, or form. Right? Sometimes they just made one very bad choice. Sometimes they made many bad choices. But
Sure.
regardless, we didn't judge them. We just came there, as emissaries of hope. Essentially, that's the
Yeah.
way I looked at it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the accomplishments
Wow.
that I most put out there. Because
Sure.
honestly, I did not think, John, I had no confidence at all that I could pull this off. And so I don't know. You can say it was God, or you can say it was his hand leading me, but it went
Sure.
through, and it was positive. Okay.
That's
So
incredible.
what
Wow.
comic do I have for that? Well, let's go back to Luke Cage, because again, he was a prisoner. Uh, and in
I got to get my action figure ready. Sorry, go
there you
ahead.
go. Now he was unjustly
It's
imprisoned. Now
true.
most of these guys were justly imprisoned, okay,
And then experimented upon.
and experimented upon, and he was abused in there. Not, and most of them are not abused in this way.
No.
Some are, but most are not. But whenever I finished that, I went back and I started reading my Luke Cage, and you could see in this one his angst and how
Sure.
desperate he is, knowing that he's an innocent man.
Yeah.
And having no way of getting out except this one, which is like 99% he'll die, but he survived.
Yeah. Great book. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Absolutely. I picked that
And-
one up many years ago, like $2 or $3. Now who knows how much it is,
we do have some more friends that jumped in the chat, like Bueller. What is going on, Travis? He's been
I'm
doing
not
a
a saint,
lot of
Tony,
hiking.
believe me. I am not a saint, not even close, buddy. I have a
And-
skeletons in my closet, but I'm forgiven. Bueller.
We got Darth Lopez. What's going on, Darth? Good to see you, sir. And Brian LCS. The Comic Community Awards are up and running. You guys can go and Comic Community Awards, CBCAwards.org if you want to cast your votes. And what did we get here? Cantonese Comics Kids saying, I need a Vampirella book club show on my channel. I thought you already did those. Are you kidding me? Happy to help. I don't know what good I'd be. But I think to your point, Tony, there are people on this planet that continually raise the bar for their community, for how they can be of service, which I think is something that I don't think we put enough emphasis on, is being of service to your community, being of service to your family. These things are paramount. And I don't think there's enough of emphasis in this culture, at least, put upon that. And what an amazing way to do something like that. But so obviously, we've only briefly touched on the impact that your church and your faith has had in your life. My mom was a deacon at the church that I was baptized and married in, and I did my community service in high school, going down to Tijuana and building houses with my church group. It's definitely been something that had an impact on me, and I found value in. But clearly, like, you had a whole deeper layer of calling. If you're doing things like you're talking about here, with people that are food running through food shortages, and people going through spiritual crises in prison. That's I can't even imagine the kind of calling that would take.
Well, regardless of what venue there is, John, people are hurting. People are in need. You could live in a mansion and still be spiritually dead.
Yeah, 100%.
The things that I do, it's sort of a captive audience thing. I because they're gonna listen,
Right.
because they're in that situation.
Sure.
But honestly, I think that I'm a much better human being because I can relate to those kinds of individuals not, not just the ones in my situation,
Right.
and I've been very blessed, to have the family that I've had and the careers that I've had and the people
Sure.
around me to support. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
I am not a self-made man. These are people who have made me.
Sure. Yeah, and that's again that value of community around you, right? For sure. What's going on, Carson? Good to see you,
Hey, Carson,
Seawood.
what's up, buddy?
Good to see you, friend. Let's see. Oh yeah, what other things bring you joy outside of comics? And I thought of this question the other day because of my wife. I know that she's excited about dinner when she starts dancing while she's eating, right? She's like nibbling and she's cooking, and there's a dance that's happening. There's a thing. She gets so much joy from the right thing cooked the right way, and we all have those little pockets that bring us some kind of a joy. So what other hobbies or elements of life bring you that kind of joy?
Right. Well, funny that you mentioned food, because I think I told you my dad had Cuban restaurants.
So
Growing up.
I was gonna ask what the menu was
Right.
like.
So growing up with Cuban parents, you eat Cuban food. Like that's
Sure.
just what you do, right? So to me, to even like Mexican, Italian, Chinese, those things were like very strange occurrences that you would eat them, because you worked in this Cuban restaurant. So, and being the curious sort that I was, I would parlay with the cooks and the chefs and the sous chefs, and they showed me little techniques and little tricks to the trade and all that.
Nice.
So now I really enjoy cooking.
So you get in the kitchen and that's a safe space for you.
That's a very, and it's a joyful one, right? I mean, I just enjoy it. I love to take these disparate ingredients, and sometimes what I'll do, John, is I'll challenge myself, right? And I was like, what do I got here? I got olives here. I got some chicken over here. I got some cheese over here. I got some beans over here. What can I concoct with all these ingredients?
I love it.
So I'll sort of, I don't want to say it's an instinct, but I mean, growing up in a restaurant, you sort of get a little bit of knowledge about what kind of goes together,
You get a sense of flavor and you get a sense of how to craft. That technique is learned, and then there's an instinct that goes along with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I call it an instinct, but there's something, there's an umami there of some sort, like that little taste in there you just can't quite define, right?
I love it.
And that's what I'm going for, right? Like that unique kind of taste.
Sure.
I also do, basic Cuban dishes like arroz con pollo, picadillo, frijoles negros, fritas, cosas, things like that.
Love it.
I start getting Spanish. I start thinking I'm talking to my mother.
Me encanta. Es fantástico. Are you the main, do you cook most of the dinners at your house?
I do cook most. My wife, is legally blind. Now she's almost totally, but she has light perception and shadow perception.
Okay.
So, but she uses other tools to cook. Like she left for a retreat for a month, but she made me mashed potatoes, meatloaf.
Wow.
She made me these protein balls, which I love. She's a cook herself.
I love it.
In fact, she's on a show with other people that are visually impaired called Cooking Without Looking. So they come up with all kinds of strange and bizarre ways of cooking things, microwaves and Instapots and all this stuff. Right? I'm more of a stovetop guy myself. Again, I just love cooking, but I just thought I'd show my lunchbox, my superhero lunchbox for this. Now, this is not one I had as a kid. This was sent to me by Lawrence Everett, King of Comicdom, some time back.
That's fantastic.
I remember I had a Scooby-Doo and a Peanuts lunchbox. And yes, I do have the thermos in here.
Gotta have it. Look at that.
And this thing is a little bit rusty. It's kind of like me. It's a little rough around the edges, a little bit rusty, and it doesn't quite close right. So,
is the back the same as the front?
That's a perfect MetaRog metaphor there.
Yeah. Does the back and the front, do they mirror each other? Are they the same?
Oh, let me show you the back. Yes, it's Fantastic Four on this side.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and Avengers of
Fantastic.
Spidey, and the Avengers here, and then you have, you can't see it because of the handle, but there you have
Is it the Wasp and Vision, maybe?
Wasp,
Yeah, and Hawkeye.
Vision,
Yeah.
and then on this side you have Daredevil, Scarlet Witch, Yellow
Yes,
Jacket,
Daredevil getting prime spot. I
Iron
love
Man,
it.
Falcon, and Red Wing.
Red Wing.
And then you got the transforming Hulk here.
Oh, that it might be
by
my favorite
Starlin.
part.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So
Great one.
yeah, I don't think they're that expensive. I think you can get it for like $30 or so.
Wow.
But that that's kind of reminds me or takes me back to those halcyon days, lunching and those long tables in elementary school, and me coming out with my Peanuts lunchbox, my mom making me the little Cuban sandwich, with the mariquitas in it and the juice.
Wow. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've always kind of helped in the kitchen. My wife is the primary and I'm the second, but I tend to do all the breakfasts, about half the lunches, and about a third of the dinners. So I'm definitely active. Like I'm a participant for certain. We tend to do a lot of meal prep though these days with teenagers. You cook one meal for 3 nights and you just keep using all the stuff.
Right. Yeah, Ryan, I was a roller skating aficionado. I went to the roller skating rink.
I saw that question.
At least twice a month. I had roller skates. I had the bell bottoms. I had the silk skirts. Yeah, that was me.
I love it. Russ says, if I get to Heroes Con, I expect you to bring a dish.
Okay, can do.
What is going on? Jackson Roy Kirk in the chat.
Hey, Jackson, what's up, buddy?
Another great friend in the community who's always supporting. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. He's a good friend.
We got the real Dr.
Death, but I would have it no other way.
He is our best, one of our best trolls. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got the real Dr. Venkman in the chat. What's going on, RDV?
Hey, RDV.
Cuban sandwich, yum, says Damien. He's ready.
I was the lunch man for about a year and a half in my father's restaurant because the regular lunch man moved to the kitchen, and I was in college at the time, and but I was going in the late afternoon, so I would do the morning prep and the lunchtime, and then go to school.
And then go to school in between.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gaps in your collecting. You mentioned this at the beginning.
Yeah.
What's going on, sales boy? There's always those times, right? When you go off and like you said, your brother found women and it was like, well, now that's my focus. I'm gonna spend my money on a car or whatever.
Right.
What were some of the gaps in your collecting? And then I think interesting, I always like to know is what were the books that brought you back? What was the book that was like, oh, now I'm back again?
Gotcha. Well, this is a really big problem for my OCD here, John, because I'm a completist at heart. I really, the gaps in collection just drive me insane, right? Especially if I'm into the storyline. Like,
right.
For example, Iron Man during the, I think 76, 77 era had this storyline with the War of the Supervillains. Right.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, the dreaded Deadline Doom was terrible. And literally every other comic was a reprint for like 6 months. Right. So I literally just wanted to throw these comics right in the trash because I was like, what happened here? What is the Hulk doing here? Why is he in Vietnam?
Disappointing.
Yeah, very disappointing. So, and then, and even above that, some of them would never like I would go at this point, right? I would harass my brother to take me to 7-Eleven, and we would go, generally speaking, about the middle of every month we would go down there.
Okay.
Right? And I'd have my mowing money and bottle collecting money and go down there and start picking everything out. Right. But as I was telling you, Spider-Man was, about half the time it was missing. Right. And then, again, those Iron Man, sometimes when it was a storyline, it's missing, So it just drove me bananas. And it wasn't until later on when, LCS opened up in Miami that I went and got back issues.
Nice.
Right. But there was one big gap in my Amazing Spider-Man collection. And that was ASM 129, First Punisher.
Yeah.
Even back then it was kind of an expensive comic and hard to find.
Sure.
So
yeah,
that was missing in my Amazing Spider-Man collection for decades. I had from 101 through 400 or whatever.
Wow.
And that was always missing. Okay. Enter Matt, the boy who had 7. Back in 2019, this is where Russ comes in because he and I were on the same show. He was, how incredibly generous he is. Instead of getting comics for himself, he bought some for the comic community, and he was giving them away, I think, every day or so for the month of December.
The 12 days he did the 12 days of Christmas.
12 days of Christmas, yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's incredible.
And he sent me a pack and he said, "Don't open it." So I had it there for like a week or so, and literally it was every day I'm tempted to open that. I mean, I was touching it, I was like, what? Maybe I was doing kind of like this job here. It's like, maybe I'll just sort of like rub it, see if it opens up there,
There's a lamp
like
inside.
And a lamp, Anyway, so I guess somewhere I had mentioned that that was missing in my collection. Sometimes you just mention offhand in a stream or whatever. Matt was listening. And so that day, I got the package. I was there with Super Russ, and I was like, "Russ, you got to help me out. You got to give me a virtual hug." He did. He was supportive. And yes, indeed, Matt sent me ASM 129. Wow.
That was gorgeous too.
It's not. I mean, it's got a crease, but to me, John,
the colors though.
The colors are good. That is immaterial because I'm a reader. I want my copies raw. I want to fucking smell them, touch them, just salivate on whatever. Right.
I love it.
So when I got this, I must have read it 10 times in like 2 days.
Oh, wow. And you would have read it somewhere else by then. I read
it in the Marvel Tales, but but it wasn't the original thing. It was like my eyes, I almost fainted when that came out of
that's so good.
When that came out of the Gemini mailer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Wow. So Matt saved me from who knows how many decades of further OCD problems when he sent me that. God bless him. What an incredibly generous and beautiful man he is.
Yes.
You know him well, so I'm not saying anything you don't know about.
Jackson Roy Kirk says, War of the Special Villains was my first Iron Man story. He only completed his run 2 years ago. All
right. Yeah. That was so frustrating, though. I mean, I was like, "Oh, come on, give me the next real story element here."
As a child collector, they had ASM 129 for $10 as a back issue. It was my entire budget back then, so I had to pass.
I know. See, $10. I don't think I ever had $10 at one time until the 80s.
Sure.
So it was just a pipe dream.
Russ is remembering back fondly to that moment as well.
Yep. Yeah, Russ got, I think he got an ASM 300, right, Russ?
Ooh.
And something else. I don't remember what the other one was.
Jackson Roy Kirk says, I'm missing a Hulk 181.
Well, I only have one currently, so if I give you that one...
then you've got a hole in your Hulk collection, and that's not acceptable.
That would be a problem, man. They'd be carrying me out of here shivering,
So let me know a little bit about what the current home life is like for Roger. Now that you're older, you got your own life, your own living situation, family and pets, children and fur babies. What is it like, and what does it mean to be a family man in your life these days? And is there a comic at the end, I guess I say, that represents the life you're living now, or maybe the parent figure that you might admire?
Sure. My daughter is now 25 and living in Texas. She's studying to be a radiologist.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So I'm a long distance dad there, but we talk often. And, you have daughters, so, she knows how to manipulate me, for lack of a better term. You know, she has that smile and those dimples, and I melt like ice cream in a summer day, you know. Um, but Olivia's, you know, the apple of my eye, of course. And I have my beautiful wife Sylvia. We've been married 32 years.
Congrats.
In 2 days, we'll be married 32
Wow.
years. Yep, she's you know, she's a gift from God as far as I'm concerned. Much I married way above my station.
Well, you said that she's got bad eyesight, so I can understand it
Right.
now.
Well, but when we met, she could see me.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I was a handsome devil back then. I was a gym rat, you know. I was I was
I'm imagining Cuban nightclubs in
yeah, you know,
Miami.
I was a suave guy back then. Now, you know, I don't even want to tell you what I am. More like a blob than a swab. But anyway, but yeah, but I live here in a small town. This is where she grew up, and her family lives here. And you know, we moved here several years ago because, you know, we're getting up there. And if anything happens to me, I know that, you know, she'll have support here.
Sure.
I grew up in Miami, and my mom is 92. She still lives down there in a house.
Wow.
Yep, still lives down there in a house that I own, but I rent out the main house, and she lives in the in-law quarters. We have my wife has a guide dog, and
Sure.
her name is Nellie. Let's see if I can get her to come. Nellie, come over, sweetie. He didn't take her on her retreat because it's kind of difficult with the flight and everything.
Sure, that's
Nellie,
complicated.
come over. Come on, Nellie. She might be asleep.
Right.
The reason I said 9 is because of her, because she likes to go on her poopy walk around 8ish. You know. So, but the comic I'm going to show is in her honor, and it is indeed Lassie.
I love it.
Now she's not a collie; she is a lab. But
okay.
But again, they're very smart, very helpful, very intelligent. And, you know, growing up as a kid, you know, that Lassie show, it's just incredible what they could have that dog do
right
on a weekly basis. It's just incredibly intelligent dog, well trained.
Sure.
And she is too. You know, she has her harness, and when my wife, when she puts on that harness, she is a totally different dog. She's all business, you know.
Sure.
Now she's over here. She thinks she's a lap dog. She'll just come right on top of me. She's 50 pounds. I mean, so, you know, she's just a joy. She's constantly bringing me toys and things. You know? So yeah, I'm a doggy daddy as well.
I love it.
When she's not working.
My stepfather has Parkinson's, and he's a very big man, and, you know, he's in the Navy, and, you know, engineer, and he's just this big guy. And so they needed to get a dog that he could use that would help him stand and stabilize him. So they got this Great Dane Black Lab mixed, and she just passed away this last year, but she was fully trained and had the harness, like you're saying, the whole thing, and then the specialized harness that had a handle that came up like 2 feet off her back.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So that he could, if he lost his stability, he could lean on it, and she would balance him out. But amazing compassion for him, and just laser focus on him, whatever he was doing, just absolutely zeroed in on all his needs.
And you know, you asked me like a father figure. He's not that much older than I am, but Sleepy Reader Damien is in the chat. You know, he's a big reason why I came to YouTube, and I'm still on YouTube. I was watching him before I made a video years before. You know, and I was just so impressed with his knowledge and the fact that he loved, you know, all kinds of comics, older and newer.
Sure.
I haven't bought new comics in decades, you know, the new stuff, but he, you know, he was somebody that I really looked up to, and now he's on a stream with me all the time, which is like me mind blowing.
Right.
You know, so I really look up to him more like an older brother than I would say that.
He says ancient Sleepy Reader. All right. Well, the last question of the night is a little bit about travel. I truly believe it's the equalizer. It's something that makes people understand and be compassionate towards one another. Obviously, we live in a country that's so massive it's almost like, every state you go to is almost another world.
True enough. Yeah.
So how has travel, sort of changed or impacted you? Is there a place that comes to mind for you as just having this big impact on you? And is there an object from your travels or from comics that you feel like represents multicultural
Sure.
exposure?
Well, I mean, I have been fortunate, that my wife, even, she loves to travel. She loves to experience other cultures. I mean, and it's interesting traveling with her because, she can't see that well, but
Sure.
because she can't, I mean, she just wants every other aspect of wherever we are to be, just absorbed, like almost like osmosis to her. So she'll want to touch everything, she'll want to taste everything, she'll want to hear everything,
Sure.
experience everything. So like when we go to the Caribbean, she'll want to go swim with the dolphins, and we swam with the stingrays some years
Wow.
back, and one of them, it's incredible to me, John, like how this works, right? But they take you out to the sandbar, and they come like puppies, like, and then they come up to him and they stay there. You can pet them, and then my wife, she came up like toward the guy, and as the stingray was coming, and it just enveloped her like a ravioli.
Wow.
So she was like,
Oh my goodness. Wow. That must have
so
felt
that's an experience
so
she'll never forget.
surreal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very much so.
Oh my goodness.
So we do travel. She loves cruising because it's an environment where she can feel safe, and
Right.
and yet she gets all the different experiences, the wind, the water, the
Yeah.
food, the different cultures, the
The
different
music.
activities, right?
Yeah.
And I can leave her alone on the sun deck, and she has no problem. She'll flag down those waiters or whatever.
Bring me another Mai Tai.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not a drinker, but she every once in a while will drink something.
True.
But we went to Italy a couple years ago. We took a transatlantic cruise to Italy.
Okay.
And we used to cruise with our daughter a lot too. But then, when she became older, she was like, I don't want to hang out with these old fogies. So
First, tell me where you're going, but then, okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So and that is a great experience, because it's being Latin, it's sort of like the groundswell of the Latin culture of Italy,
Sure.
and let me tell you, the people there were just amazing. They're so friendly and very helpful. A lot of them speak English, which was really surprising because my Italian was atrocious.
Yeah, I mix it with my Spanish too much. It's hard.
Me too. I every other word was like, they're like, what? So but we had just a great time. We walked miles and miles. We took the tour buses. We went to the ocean. We went to Milan. We saw the trade shows. We went in and saw all the different fashion shows and all that. Not all the different ones, but different
But yeah,
ones. And that you could touch, the things,
the
and
fabrics and the
fabrics, yeah. And we the in the square they had the musicians and the fountains. She kept wanting to put her feet in the fountains. All that. I don't know if they frown upon that.
Who's gonna tell me no?
Yeah, she had her cane. She's like, they're not going to tell me anything. So she went over there with her cane.
I thought this was I can't even see it. What are you?
I thought it was a bathtub or whatever. I don't know. But this is something my daughter had, and she gave to me some years ago, and I thought it was appropriate, right? Because it's a TARDIS. She's a big Doctor Who fan.
Nice.
And I was more of a casual one because I remember seeing it at PBS when I was younger.
Okay.
But think about the possibilities, right? To go anytime, anywhere. Right. And obviously I don't have that ability, but it reminds me of that we have such a diverse and incredible world out there. And there's so many different peoples and experiences. And of course, I want to have more of them, but until I retire, I probably am not going to have a whole bunch more. But
I, I always said that the superpower I wanted was some form of teleportation. Just to be able to travel wherever you want to go. I always liked Gateway from the X-Men. You'd spin that big
yeah,
didgeridoo thing around and create a big hole in the world and just travel wherever you want to go.
right. Yeah, what an incredible, power that would be, right?
Oh
To
my gosh.
instantaneously be anywhere. I mean,
Yeah, spit
what
everybody. We're going to the beach. Here you
yeah.
go.
When I lived in, New York for New Jersey for a year last year, that was the big problem, and it took forever to get anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that was like, I wish we could have, to drive into Manhattan, forget it. I mean, you're not going
Right.
nowhere.
Right.
And if you have to take the train to the subway, and yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, but traveling abroad is something that I really enjoy doing with my wife, especially because she's just so into it. I mean, just the
I
joy
would
on
have,
her face when we go there is just indescribable.
but I would imagine it would also change the way you think about trips with her, where you're like, how do we, how do we impact, connect to the music and the food and the things that she would be able to experience on a level that would make it more enjoyable for her.
It does take some planning and take some research.
Sure.
And of course, we plan together, we discuss things together. She'll sometimes, like, she'll allow me to do certain, allow me. Well, we, we,
'Cause, like, going to a museum and just looking at
right.
paintings would not have any, the
No,
Louvre is not going to have the same draw as, going to see maybe a symphony somewhere
correct,
or going to, to hear the ocean or something.
correct. Like she does like plays.
Hmm.
And like they're really, what's interesting is in New York they have an audio description guy who
Okay.
will talk into these, that she has like these headphones, and he'll subtly talk, not over the characters in the
Right.
play, but he'll
Or like the
subtly
stage
set up the
direction and the movements
correct.
and the actors.
And she
Okay.
loved that. She was just like
Sure.
smiling ear to ear. We saw Carmen, and
Oh, that's
she just was
fantastic. And I'm sure,
fascinated by that.
I
And
mean,
we did
if you,
go. Hmm?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, we did go to a museum in New York where they do allow you to touch the sculptures and so forth.
Whoa.
So you have to make an appointment, and they have a curator with you, and they'll describe it, and then they'll tell you the
Wow.
parts you can touch and all this.
That's
And so
cool.
that was, she was just all over that. We went twice because she was so into that. So
Wow. Yeah, that sounds spectacular.
yeah,
That Tony's
take care, Tony.
complimenting us here. He's like, I looked up to them before I saw their show. Now I understand the phrase "Don't meet your heroes."
Oh my
Tony, food in Italy, hard to go wrong, right?
yeah, man, it was
Lasso
amazing.
says, "I like how Samantha and the witches would pop into places on Bewitched."
Yep,
Pretty.
if
Yeah.
only. Yeah,
Jackson says, "I'll teleport to Roger's comic room when he's not around, of course."
yeah. He always tells me, hey, if you need a house sitter,
Yeah.
call me. I got a feeling when I come back, though, this room will be empty.
It's so true. Uh, Sir, this was absolutely just spectacular. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and we almost did this off air, and I'm so glad we did it live. This was really fun with the chat tonight.
Yeah, it
I
was a lot
appreciate
of
you
fun.
making the time.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to be with you. I mean, as you know, we go way back. We're kind of like the older guard here, but I've always appreciated the way that you try to grow the community, and you're respectful of everybody who has on. You may not agree with them, but
We can't
you
possibly
don't.
all agree. But
That's correct. That's correct. Like, I'm not a slab guy, and a lot of people, sort of have issues with that, and I don't have issues with slab.
I was gonna say that's Matt, right?
That's
Our
Matt, right?
boy.
I mean, he's a 9.8 slab guy, right?
I was gonna
Yeah.
say I purchased this just for those Matts in the world.
But I'm of the
it.
opinion that there's no wrong way in this hobby to collect what you love. Whether it's a slab or not. I mean, I'm not judgmental that way.
Yeah,
If it doesn't work for me, that's me. I want
yeah,
you to be you, right? I
for
mean,
sure. They're
don't let
your
other
books.
people
It's
tell you how to
yeah,
collect. You collect your way,
yeah,
and the way that brings you joy. And that's what I do. I know that's what you do because I've seen you so often. And that's what I try to bring in those shows, the live
sure.
streams, that all these diverse people there that have all these different comics.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's the joy and the passion that we share that really makes these shows, you know, the watchable or the interesting parts. You know,
It makes it
not me.
engaging and it connecting for sure.
Yeah, it's not
Absolutely.
us per se, but it's just the experiences that we have, and that we can bring people, you know, that have like the very diverse collections.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
like Jeff is, you know, very, very focused on vampy and horror and things like that. And
Yep.
that's fabulous. You know, I mean,
And
and others who
that's
like
what,
romance comics and things like that. That's great. But
and even across the ages, like you were mentioning, golden and silver and modern, like you have all of these little niches that I think create a wonderful, you know, cornucopia of this medium that I think is really spectacular.
oh, agreed. And even though I don't collect newer comics, I mean, I'm so glad there are people that do. I mean, just because I
Right.
don't enjoy them anymore doesn't mean that I don't respect them, and that keeps the hobby fresh and going forward. You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
so believe me, I'm not judgmental with that. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean that I have any thing against anybody doing it, for sure.
Well, everybody who wants more MetaRog, the link's down below. You guys can follow, subscribe, and do all those awesome things. And of course, the link is pinned in the chat for Comics Curing Cancer. The event is coming up October 24th to the 26th. So clear your schedules, you know, get your bank cards ready, and and we will definitely see you for more of that. Thank you, Jackson Roy Kirk. For every mag musings, we have a MetaRog, Sleepy Reader, and a John.
Oh boy.
I appreciate everybody coming, hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, man.
And my hope is to have more of these in the future. I do have JP Budget Collecting. He's going to be in my house here in 2 nights.
Woo-hoo.
So we'll probably do some goofy live stream hangouts. But until then, I will see you all again soon. Good night.